So hello everybody, good afternoon. My name is Boaz Bachar and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Fieldin. Fieldin is an Israeli agtech company. I established the company 7 years ago and I got into agriculture through marriage. My wife's family are one of the largest growers of avocado in Israel, and this is how we got introduced. And today I'm going to talk with you about everyone's favorite topics. I'm sure you can start to recognize the beautiful vines behind you, and you are all thinking about rotten wine grapes, or rotten food, or the food that is wasted before it's even getting into our plates and tables. Food waste and production of food for our growing population was always a challenge for mankind. Within 30 years from now, we will stand in face of a daunting task to be able to feed almost 10 billion people. In order to do this, we will need to increase our food production in 70%, which is more than what we produce until today. People say it's not only our biggest challenge of this century, but this is the biggest challenge of our existence. But a spoiler alert, according to the numbers, we have enough food to feed everyone. So I want to start with the past and present you some late-age innovations that help us to get into this point. So we start with the 1850 with development of refrigeration technology that allowed us to extend shelf life for weeks. Today, thanks to new preservation technologies, we can store apples before we put them on shelf up to 1 year. But again, this is under special consideration, so please don't try it at home. Second thing, the Green Revolution, 1960. This guy, Norman Borlaug, an US agronomist, is in charge of developing a new plant breeding technique and fertilizing techniques that, thanks to those researchers, was allowed us to consistently increase the amount of food that we can produce from a certain field until it reached more than a double since 1960s. And third, it's an Israeli technology, the drip irrigation technology, that allowed us to increase yield by 20 to 90%, but more than this was help us to grow food in places we couldn't grow before. So what are the solutions for the 2050 challenge? What is the next green revolution? So now I want to share with you some companies or some technologies in the waste and ag production that can maybe are the solution for the next green revolution. Vertical farming. In the past 5 years, invested more than $1 billion in indoor farming. This specific company, Plenty, has a warehouse in San Francisco in the size of a basketball court where they can grow 350 times more kale compared to a traditional growing process, which using only the fraction of the water. In-field sensor. A lot of companies in this space. This is the evolution of the precision agriculture, helping and monitoring directly a certain plant in order to manage its stress and manage the yield that we can get out of it. Area spectral imaging. Those are imaging that can come from drones, that can come from planes, that can come from satellites. Those technologies are working about those solutions working about detection previous to the damage. They can help us to detect issues with fertilizer, with pests, with diseases before it's made a tremendous issue on the farmer crops. Now, to hit the numbers of feeding almost 10 billion people in 30 years, I want to offer a different approach that to complete the previous solutions that I saw with new solutions, with new innovation in the space of preventing food loss from the field throughout all the supply chain. And in order to explain you about a bit waste, I want to show with you 3 numbers. So 30% from our marketed yields is left in the field after harvest. 30%. It means that we start our supply chain with only 70% from our potential. Then another 40% is lost in the transit, shipping between supplier and retailer. And another 30 to 40% it's lost in all of us homes by leaving food in our refrigerator. And you know what is the common for all those three numbers? The common is the result, which is the result is a rotten food. So now I want to share with you some new technologies in those spaces of food waste or food waste innovation, as I like to call it, because as we see it, the future is about innovation of the waste and the supply chain. Ugly food marketplace. Rather than letting those ugly food go to waste, we can use new marketplaces that come to move foods from place to place, and we can use those ugly foods. By the way, you know how they make the small carrots that you are buying on the supermarkets? By taking big carrots, pushing in a machine, and then they become a small carrots. So you can use those ugly foods to produce the small carrots that cost more, by the way. Very American thing to do. Take big thing, put in a machine, and sell the small things in a better price. Extend shelf life. Those specific fruit pouches can extend the shelf life of fresh fruit and fresh vegetables to up to 14 days. So it can help our retailers, and it can help also us to save the food and eliminate the waste. Think about how many fruits and vegetables you are getting rotten in your refrigerator in a period of 2 weeks. And of course, my company, I have to speak about my company, Fieldin. What we are doing, we are digitizing the production of the field. We are taking large-scale farm and transform them into a smart assembly line. And basically by that, we are controlling the farm operation and ensure that we will not leave the 30% potential before we are leaving our fields. In conclusion, the low-hanging fruit for the 2050 challenge is right under our noses. And we, as entrepreneurs and consumers, can push and need to push our retailers, our food conglomerates, and the supermarkets to innovate, to push innovation for waste, and help us to feed those 10 billion people that will arrive in 30 years from now. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy.